Dun, dun, dun. Okay, here we are. Let's do a quick check. Who do we have in the chat? Actually, I try to be good about running it in both locations here in case I don't see everybody. Hello, Caleb. Let's see. Let me go to my dashboard here and view channel. Keith, hello. JDC AMC, hello. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. Um, One was self-induced. I thought I'd throw a load of laundry in the dryer an hour ago, thinking that'd be done, and it was not. So I was like, well, let me give it an extra couple minutes here, maybe it'll finish. So, yeehaw. The other thing, for whatever reason, I'm using Streamlabs OBS. And one thing I'm noticing lately is when I go to start the stream, there's a pop-up where it says, you know, name the stream, and then it will go ahead and launch. And what's happening, this has happened the last 3 times we've done our Friday night nerd chat here, is it just sits there and spins. And so I look in the task manager to see if there's something going on at the computer, because this is a brand new laptop. This is a pretty beefy laptop, and no, everything's good. So I'm wondering if the Streamlabs OBS service or whatever's going on online, you know, because it is prime time, so I'm wondering if that's where things are hanging. So could be, could just be timing, who knows. But and I've had some good feedback from you guys, because I was asking some of you, hey, you know, how's the live stream? How do you like it? You know, how's the volume? How's the quality? And more importantly, you know, do you find the live stream enjoyable? You know, I try to cover a couple little topics, and then I really enjoy turning it over to the audience so that we can chat about whatever you guys want to talk about. And that's worked out exceptionally well in the past, because we've had people sign in and say, hey, does anyone know how to fix this? Or hey, I have the STL that's screwed up. And you guys, because I don't have all the answers, you guys have chimed in and said, oh, wait a minute, yeah, here's what you want to do. And so I like that we have, not only that we have an online discussion, but we're learning together. So I think that's really cool, because I'm learning from you guys. So awesome sauce there. Let's see. Okay, 8 viewers. Hello. Hello, Curtis. Hello, Andy. I get the laptop way, way up on the desk here because I have so much crap in front of me. So I'll do the usual rundown of hello, welcome to Where Nerdy is Cool. This is where we do Friday Night Nerd Chat with me, Paul, yours truly. This is my channel, Where Nerdy is Cool, here on YouTube. If you have not seen my videos, I encourage you to subscribe, click the button down there, and check out my content. I have several tutorials in there, and I've had a busy week. I've had a lot of people messaging and commenting on various videos that I've done in the past asking for tips. And ironically, a lot of them are people that have just bought Ender 3s or these printers that cost less than $200, and they're trying to figure out how to, you know, connect via USB. And I mean, I can tell they're brand new because they're asking some really basic questions that, quite honestly, when I got into this 4 years ago now, I would have been stumped as well too. So I'm glad they're asking, and I'm glad they feel comfortable commenting on my videos and knowing they're going to get a response. So we're here to help each other. We try to have fun, and I like keeping it light. So yeah, as you're going to see on the desk is the FolgerTech FT-i3 Mega. I'm just going to call it the i3 Mega from now on because that's just a lot to say. And my game plan for tonight was I wanted to do the Titan Aero upgrade to it. I have printed and reprinted the replacement X carriage that will go on here. Actually, I'm holding it upside down. I believe I am holding it upside down. So that is going to, once I have the bearings on it, you know, snap in here. Keith ran into the same problem as I printed a few of these out. I went to put the bearings on there, and the bearings, I mean, granted, the twist ties will hold them in there, but should be a little bit snugger than that. I was going to start on this tonight. I thought this would be a lot of fun to do on camera with you guys. And then I remembered that first thing tomorrow morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning, I have an appointment with the tax professionals at H&R Block. And they didn't sponsor that little plug. So anyway, I'm going to postpone that, but I'm going to put this to a floor vote. I was thinking perhaps maybe tomorrow afternoon when I'm back after I've done all my errands. I thought maybe I'll kick off a live stream on Saturday where, you know, we'll do it all together. Obviously, there's a fair chunk of work that has to be done. I've got to detach everything from the stock hot end. This is where all those couplers come in really handy. Remember, I wanted to solder all this stuff in, but I thought, you know what, we'll build it stock, and that's going to help save some time right there. I am going to have to run well, I can tell already because this doesn't have a part cooling fan, so I have to run a wire all the way up and through here for that. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be terrible. So what do you guys think? Should I just make a video on the upgrade, or do you guys want to tune in and watch Paul struggle adding a new hot end to the i3 Mega? Oh, hello, Minnesota Maker. Just checking out the buffer here. So I think that would be a good time. And the other thing I wanted to show you, and I will share the screen here. So the fun part about this build, because there's a big stack of parts here on the desk. As a matter of fact, let me get our Caleb Powell Logitech camera view on it. Sorry, Caleb, I just can't help myself sometimes. So as you can see, I mean, there's a pretty big stack of stuff there. So what happened is I bought the upgrade kit, the Titan Aero upgrade kit for the E3D. And then, let's see, I had the E3D V6, and then I have the extruder. I want to say that came from TH3D. It's one of the generics. So just getting the hot end together and scavenging from all these bags of parts, just to make the hot end is going to be a whole lot of fun. The other thing that I did is this afternoon, oh, there's my pop-up, sorry. And by the way, I hope I lowered the volume low enough on that. Hey JP, you want to watch me struggle? You guys are evil. I like it. I like it. So anyway, this great big bag of stuff here is going to eventually be the Titan Aero hot end. Now, the other thing that I did is I went to the hardware store today, and I bought a bunch of small nylon standoffs. These springs are coming out. No, I don't want to try Microsoft Glance, and I don't want to try Lenovo. I hate these pop-ups. Is it still loud on the Bing? Okay, here we go. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. When I was playing with this around 7 o'clock this evening, trying to, I couldn't replicate it. And of course, the only way to replicate it is to go live or to record. And I couldn't dupe the sound. So I've just brought it down 10 more decibels. So there we go. Hopefully that helps the stream a little bit. So yeah, so anyway, I finally have all these parts. I have the nylon spacers. I have 8 of them. So the springs are going to come out because the location of where all the bed adjustments are for this printer, this printer is a lot like a CR10, except as you can see, the entire bottom is enclosed. And I can tell you that I've done numerous test prints with this printer, and the way that this bed moves back and forth, I thought I was going to get a finger pinched a couple times. So I don't think this printer is, I'm not going to miss the springs one bit, because this is not the kind of printer where I don't think you could really get away with the larger knobs. And well, unless you've had a lot of caffeine and you're quick getting in there. The other thing is too, of course, I have the switch here now. The side ones are the worst ones to get at. The front ones are, typically bad. So, long story short, since we're going to be using a easy ABL for auto bed leveling, I think the solid mounts is the way to go. And you guys can all say "told you so" tomorrow if I'm pulling my hair out. Oh, I'm sorry, what hair, right? Trying to make this all work. But so far, this printer has done a really good job with what I've thrown at it. I removed the filament. I am sorry, Caleb. I know your wife was fond of that lavender purple filament, and it has gone away for now. And I will feed it back in when we have the Titan. So here in this stack of stuff here, with all these parts and pieces, is going to eventually, with all these 5, 6, 7 baggies, is going to eventually be a Titan Aero. Now, we have a trader among us. I had my heart set on the Titan Aero. You guys have been hearing about the Titan Aero. Then our good buddy Keith went and showed me this, because he is just totally loving his Prusa. He is getting amazing prints from his Prusa. He received the replacement parts that he needed to get his together. We were talking about it last week that he'd been having some great difficulties getting what he needed. So this is what he threw at me today. He's like, "Hey Paul, look at this," and you know, it's kind of like when you're about ready to sign the papers on the car, and your girlfriend says, "Oh, look at that one over there." So, and actually, Keith, I should have had you link up on Discord here so we could have you speaking as well, in your defense, of course. But this Bondtech Prusa 3 extruder, this looks very interesting. So he kind of got me thinking that, you know, granted, the i3 Mega, we're going to use the parts we have, and we're going to do that upgrade. But this might be a good upgrade for, say, maybe another printer down the road. Who knows? So it definitely looks very interesting because this is essentially what the new Prusas are running. And this one is got some good information. The only thing is it only has 1 meg. When Keith brought this to my attention, that was the first thing I thought was, huh. But there's a lot of comments though, so that's good. And it only took, you know, about, you know, 3 tries to make this page load. I don't know what's going on with Thingiverse, but that's what's going on. So this right here looks like it has a lot of really good potential. So I don't know which printer I would put this on. Obviously it would have to be something of an i3 design to fit. Maybe we need another i3 Mega. No. So anyway, so that was something fun that Keith threw at me today, and I saw that, and you know, I was like, whoa, that does look really, really slick. What I'm not sure about from the pictures is, well, does he have the list of materials of everything you're going to need here? Parts needed, yeah. No, he does have everything. Let's look at that. Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here. There's actually a manual here. Bondtech. See, I know Bondtechs run about 70 or 90 bucks. What the hell? More money, right? So, an interesting design. And you know, that's something we should have done. I should have thought ahead. It's been kind of a crazy week. It's the second week of classes at the university that I work at. And every day has been some small issue or something, so my brain has been scattered all week long. I'm looking forward to the next week or two when things kind of settle down. I'm enrolled in 2 classes this session. I'm taking aviation history and aviation law. The history is a ton of fun to read. The aviation law is, wait a minute, let me read that paragraph again. So my spare time is being taken up with homework again. So that design looks pretty sweet. Dun, dun, dun. Let me just check here. Hi, Andy. Yeah, you guys at Print ABS are brave, brave people, because like I said, I have not tried it myself on any of my machines. I have been at friends' places when they've been printing ABS, and it stinks. In my opinion, anyway. At least it bothers my nose. And I wonder if an enclosure would help you out, because you know, ABS has real tough times with polycarbonate isn't bad. Actually, the Ultimaker does a pretty good job with polycarbonate. The only issue I have is that more complex shapes, it's a very stringy material. Yeah, my polycarbonate, I didn't find it too stinky, but then again, when I run stuff down here in the basement, I set it and forget it, and I run away. Well, what's interesting is if it's giving you headaches, I'd be curious if you read the material safety data sheet, and you know, what does it talk about? Because it seems like every 6 months, we see something in the news where either a 3D printer caused a fire, or there's some new you know, hyperbole out there about these materials generate a ton of, you know, small particle pollution and it's bad for you, yada yada yada. Oh, you do have a homemade enclosure? Yeah, I have. You probably saw the video already in my video streams here. I have the CR10 enclosure from Printed Solid, it's a lot of money, and you know, people that see it go, well, I could make something else, you know, just as good and cheaper. But I'll tell you, it's nice. The only thing I wish it had is I wish it had a hinged back panel, because once you have that printer inside of there, accessing if you need to get at the extruder or anything else, you're practically crawling in there, and there's not a whole lot of room. So I think if the back wall, you know, was hinged so you could, you know, access, you know, the extruder and stuff like that, that would definitely be a win. Checking the buffer here because I don't want to miss anything. I don't have the Darth Vader helmet today. I used it yesterday, so it's in the dishwasher. So again, you know, to make you guys happy, I'm sipping on my decaf, or as you guys call it, fake coffee. There. So what else is up? Well, a couple of things I wanted to tell you guys about. The last week we did the LCD swap out on the Geeetech A10, and I've been doing more prints on the Geeetech, and they've been coming out okay. I've been seeing a lot of people on the Geeetech Facebook group, which I am still a member of. I've seen a few people, you know, comment about having issues with this and that, and I see them getting jumped. You know, what do you expect for $200 and blah blah blah. And I try very hard to bite my tongue or pull my fingers away from the keyboard and not say anything. Well, this is not a nerdy mug, but a friend of mine, she gave me this. She lives in Brazil, and she is awesome. She has a tattoo of R2-D2 on her bicep, and I gotta tell you, if there was ever a bride made for me, it's that young lady. But she's so far away. But yeah, but she gifted me this. She goes, oh no, she goes, I would love to give you a gift, and I got this about a year ago. So it's nice to have fans. Okay, what was I lost my train of thought because I saw something shiny. I had a squirrel moment. Oh yeah, Sunday. I guess I'm not a big sports fan, but I guess there's a big ball game. Is it the Red Sox versus the Yankees kind of thing? I don't know. Is it what? Tom Brady going to get a hat trick? No, home run. No, wait a minute. Oh, I'm serious. So yeah, we got Super Bowl coming up, and Jake from State Farm, greetings. You had made it just in time. So yeah, so I think tomorrow's going to be my day to do some work on the Mega. We're going to swap out that hot end, and then Sunday's kind of reserved for the Super Bowl. I'm curious how my New England Patriots are going to do. Obviously, being a New England guy and being up here in Maine, I'm hoping they do well. And of course, I understand that for those of you outside of New England, hate that team with a passion. That's okay too. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my friend Caleb as well. Caleb has been and Keith as well too, have been contributors to the channel, so I appreciate you guys helping me out. The other thing that's kind of cool is I know Caleb did this, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of it. I kind of neglected this page for a while because I had a couple Patreons, and you know, it's, you know, when you only have 2 or 3 people, it's kind of hard to entertain that many people, right? So I just wanted to point out that we do have, I keep on thinking I'm speaking for R2D2 and I have a Patreon page, which is patreon.com/where-nerdy-is-cool. And I just wanted to let you guys know that it is out there, and if you guys wish to help me out, you know, throwing me there's 2 options. If you want to throw $5 a month, that's great. You like what I'm doing and you want to encourage me, and then the double thumbs up. I'm trying to be original. It seems like everyone has some sort of, you know, cool little catchwords here. So I just went with basic 2 thumbs up, and that basically is for the $10 a month tier. And what I'm doing is kind of like what a lot of the other YouTube folks are doing, is that when they create a video, what they'll do is they will do either an extended or an unedited version, whatever. I always, when I did this, I always did an after the upload. So what I would do is I would create a video, and then usually 2 or 3 days later, based on the early feedback from the comments, I would address those comments and then, you know, go on there. So if you wish to help me out on Patreon, that link is right there. I can show you the page again in case you missed it. That's my pile of junk. There we go. So there it is, and I love my logos. My cartoonists did a really, really good job with those. Zoom. Ooh, I clicked the one that makes the beeping sound. Yeah, the logo, it's interesting because a couple people have mentioned, you should sell, t-shirts or hats or whatever based on your logo. And I thought, I'm in the world of R2-D2 building. I actually, come to think, my R2-D2 was finished in 2009. So I finished him just in time for Halloween in 2009. So I've had my R2 out and about for 10 years in October. And one of the things I'm always worried about is, people have said, hey, you should, have, patches or a t-shirt made saying, Paul's R2-D2, or for example, like the logo that I'm using here for Nerdy is Cool. And the only thing I'm worried about is if I did try to make sweatshirts or hats or whatever with that logo, I'm probably going to get hit by Disney. I'm going to get hit by, DC, and then, whoever else is on the logo. So I don't know if they'd care, but why tempt fate? So who knows? And the other thing that I've been wanting to do, and I have a couple ideas how to do it, and I had mentioned this to Keith during a couple of our conversations during the week. Keith has a lot of really good ideas, but Keith is camera shy. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, look, we ought to do like a Skype or a Google Hangout. I'll add you to a screen here during our live session here. And, it'd be fun to, have, you guys talking back to me versus, the chat buffer or stuff like that. So always looking for ways to improve the experience for you guys. And, if there's an opportunity to make it awkward for Keith, I'm all for it. What can I say, Keith? You've been super helpful. You're a friend of the channel, and you offer me some really great suggestions. And then today you showed me that new that whole hot end with the Vontech and everything else. Like, wow! And I only have one Prusa style printer, so I might have to go get another one now. Oh, speaking of printers, someone asked me what our status is on getting an FT6. I still have the invoice. I know that he's catching up with his demand. I don't quite have enough money tucked away on the side here to place an order yet, but it is on my list of things I want to do next. So if you guys are wondering when we're going to have another printer build, I'm hoping coming soon. See, look, it's interesting. See, they're all over you, Keith. This is great. Oh, so anyway, I went off topic. Sorry. I was talking about the Geeetech. So one of the things there's 3 videos that I'm working on, and I'm still, what I do, like I've mentioned in the past, I don't write a script. I kind of make an outline. So I've done enough prints with the Geeetech where I feel like I should do a review on the Geeetech A10 now that I've got it up and working and we have all the parts and pieces. And obviously, from what you guys have witnessed, I don't think it would be a very positive piece, but I think, I think it's fair to say that we're not terribly impressed with the folks at Geeetech, but I think I can still do a video and be impartial and say, well, here's what's good, here's what's bad, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm still formulating the best way that I can say that. And ironically, I keep on getting friend requests from more and more people at Geeetech, so I don't know what's up with that. For whatever reason, I got a request yesterday and I got one this morning, and for whatever reason, I must have been feeling jolly after my cup of coffee and said, okay, sure, whatever. Because frankly, those of you guys who are Facebook friends with me, all you're going to see is cat pictures, a couple funny memes, and a lot of 3D printing and R2-D2. So here you go, China. Welcome to my world. So that's one of the videos I'm working on. The other video I'm working on, what happens is I have a layout as to exactly what I want to do and what I want to talk about. And then in this case, it's a piece of software. And just when I was ready to, okay, I'm going to work on this tonight, he made another change. So, and it's on Octoprint Anywhere. And it's a good change. I mean, he's always working to improve the product, but it just kind of made me go, I got to scribble that out and scribble this out again. So, so Kenneth at Octoprint Anywhere has made some more changes to the program. If you haven't used Octoprint Anywhere, it's a plugin for Octoprint. And what it does is, using his service, you can, via phone or basically anything that supports a web browser, you can sign in to his site, and you can find out if your printers are running Octoprint Anywhere. It will show you on the screen what they're doing, and if you have a printer that's screwing up, you can stop the print right there from remote control. The whole idea of remote controlling printers can be controversial. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. The whole idea of these inexpensive printers being left unattended can be controversial. It's completely up to you. When I go to the gym, if these things are printing, I'm a mile away. I can monitor them on the phone, and I don't mind doing that. Now, if I was going to be further away, if I was going to be at work where I'm 22 miles away, there's one or two printers here I would think twice about wanting to leave them unattended just in case. So anyway, the Octoprint Anywhere is a very nice plugin, and what's cool is when the print is complete, not only can you see the progress of what's going on, but what he has it set up to do now is, at first he would have it email you, say, hey, your print is complete. Now he has it so that you get not only the print is complete, but it sends you a picture of the completed print. So very cool that he's made these many changes to it, and it's going really well for him. Dun, dun, dun. You have some videos? Yeah, Keith is much more active on Twitter, and Twitter is one of the, I just seen too many people end their careers on Twitter, so I'm just going to steer clear of that one. I like the fact that I'm on Instagram, and I don't, I keep it, very easygoing and mellow over there. On Facebook, my Facebook is private, and I don't talk about work or any topics like that on there. I just keep it fun. But Twitter, yeah, that can cause some problems. And if it goes on the internet, it never goes away. So yeah, so this is going to be my project for tomorrow, the Geeetech A10 review. I mean, we can kind of, the writing's on the wall. Obviously, the printer is okay, but I'm not okay with their really, really poor customer service. I'm not impressed that they're, on one hand, they're marketing this printer for under $200, telling people how easy it is and how great this is and how reliable it is. And then if you get the printer and have issues, the fanboys say, well, what'd you expect for nothing? They can't afford quality control, so they have all these defenses that completely clash with the whole sales environment. So, that's what the Geeetech is. I've seen a lot of people that have bought Ender 3s, and they're having a good time with those. I saw a recent review for some of the new TiVo printers, and TiVo is a challenge. From what I saw from the 3D Maker noob, one of the printers he got printed nicely. The second printer he got had some issues. It looks like they didn't use the correct drivers. It looked like it was one of those hurry up and get it out the door kind of things. So, it just seems like we're seeing the same old thing over and over again. Hello! The other thing I saw a picture of today, I saw it last night, was Tim at TH3D is going to be introducing his printer, and saw a couple of pictures of that, and still awaiting the details. I'm assuming it's going to have his build service. I'm assuming it's going to have his, his hot end, and of course the easy ABL is probably going to be built into it. But he hasn't released any other details about it. But it'll be interesting to see who he's partnered with and what kind of hardware is in there. Yeah, TiVo. Yeah, special place in your heart. Yeah, I hear you there. Caleb poses a good question. Trying to think of the best way to answer that question that you posed in the chat buffer. Because well, it depends. It depends on what you want. I was spoiled because I started with the Ultimakers, and I guess the question, if you're a noob, the bigger question is, do you want to tinker with these things, or do you just want to print? Do you just want to go from Cura or Simplify 3D, plug in the SD card and print? Because that has a cost. If you want to do stuff like that, then printers like the Ultimaker 2, 2 Plus, 3, what have you, will work just fine. Or if you want to print larger volume, especially if he's talking about doing something in the R2 Builders Club, well, then you're getting into the world of the Raise 3Ds, and the Ultimaker has a couple other high-end ones. It just depends on what your time is worth. It seems like we're kind of at an interesting spot where we're scooping up these $200, $300, $400 printers, and we know that the minute they are delivered, that okay, we already have to replace the extruder. We're going to upgrade that, so we've already got about $200 or $300 worth of upgrades we're going to have to make to this printer. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of printers out there between the $500 and say $800 range that have the quality components that most of us here in the audience are looking for. Say we want to have a 300 by 300 by 400 printer, say like this printer right here. Say we're looking for something that's going to have like a Meanwell power supply, and say we want something that has like an E3D hot end, and we want to have it, with auto bed leveling and stuff like that. Well, then you're talking big bucks. So that's why I caution people that think 3D printing is just one of those things where you buy a $200 printer and you're off and set to go. That's, as we're learning, that's not the case. Now, there are some people that have a great experience, and I envy those people. There are some people that can put a kit together and it works perfect the first time. And there's some of us that put a kit together and it's nothing but problems. Yep, Keith, you make a great point. Inside, sorry to hear you're having problems with your builds. Well, it's the Geeetech A10 that was giving me all the problems. It was defective out of the box. And that's probably the thing that was the most, yeah. And that's the thing that's the most frustrating with some of the Geeetech issues, especially the control knob. Had they plugged the printer in and powered it on and tried to move the knob, it would have been very obvious to whoever powered the machine on that it's taking me 20 turns to do anything on this thing. Rather than pull it from the assembly line or whatever they have over there and repair the problem, they just boxed it up and said, whatever. So, but again, I'll tell you my bias straight out is I'm all about customer service. If I were to design, produce, and make a printer, I would want to make sure that what I ship to you, Keith, Caleb, anyone else out here, I would want to make sure that that you're getting the customer experience I would expect you to have, and that's the way I was brought up. From my personal values to when I worked in retail, you just expect people to be proud of the equipment they produce for you, not just slap it off and if they have problems, oh well. But let's get off that rant. I do not want to make printers. I do not want that job. Well, I'm sure myself and lots of other people have really good ideas for designs. I'm a little tired of this whole i3, moving, platform kind of thing. I like the Ultimakers. I like the way it lowers, the bed up and down. Yeah, I didn't spill my coffee. Don't worry, I'm good. You had to order thermistor? Yeah. Batter hackers. Well, it would beat the snow. I haven't had a lot of positive experiences with Matter Hacker. I mean, I'm over here on the East Coast anyway, so a lot of the stuff I buy from Printed Solid because they're in Delaware. Pretty much everything I get from them is U.S. Postal Service priority mail, so it shows up in 2 days. Excuse me, so that works out great. What burned me was the Matter Hacker filament. I bought Matter Hacker PLA Pro, and I fed it into the filament, and I fed the filament into the printer, and it was breaking like old pasta. I was like, well, this is not good. And that is quite a commute, yes. So yeah, so I've bought some stuff from them, and the Matter Hacker brand anyway, and I bought some PETG from them, and I bought the PLA from them, and they were both in sealed containers, but I know the PETG, it was in a bag, it wasn't vacuum sealed, and there was no desiccant in there either, and that just struck me as odd. So I have just opted to stay away from that filament for now. I've had really good luck with a Geeetech. I was going to say ZYL, and you guys would have jumped all over me for that. I am curious about getting hold of a filament dryer. That would be interesting. I have some filaments back here in that back wall that I wonder if there would be any difference. Thank you, Keith. Yes, exactly right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm going to do a check over here real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Turn off my speaker. No. I'm not going to use my. Well, first of all, I have a gas oven, so it's just no. You know, it's funny because on some of them they say, you know, put it in the oven for 4, 5, 6 hours, and it's like there's no way I'm leaving my gas oven going that long. No way. I've heard food dehydrators. I've had some people mention they make storage containers for video equipment. It's a dehydrator as well too, to get the humidity out, because you don't want the humidity stuck in there with your expensive video or digital cameras. So it's very interesting. Just over here, as I'm going to say, if you're not a subscriber already, hit the button as described down below. Also, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. I see we got 6 thumbs up, and we got 12 people in here, so we definitely got room for more people to do it. Yeah, I've seen a few people doing videos. I think the 3D Printing Nerd had done one recently, and I can't remember who else did one. I think maybe it was, I don't think it was CNC Kitchen, but someone else. One thing that's been kind of weird, and it's just been in the last 2 weeks, I'm not seeing some of my favorite channels come across YouTube. It's like I have to go look for them. I don't know if you guys are running into that as well too. I have a couple aviation channels and others that when I log into YouTube and I scroll through the latest videos, I'm not seeing some of my favorite guys here. I'm having to go dig for them. And they had mentioned, actually 3 guys mentioned in their videos that their views are way down, and for whatever reason YouTube must be playing with the algorithms or whatever, which kind of bums me out because I have to go look. Yeah, you guys, boy, you guys are real MacGyvers here with your food dehydrators. Well, I know they do make a specific food, filament dehydrator. Well, actually, Matter Hacker sells it, come to think of it. The other thing that's been a tremendous amount of fun is I posted a short video on the Where Nerdy is Cool Facebook page. And if you guys are into the virtual gaming, I've got to tell you, I've had that Oculus Rift now for a little over a week, and that is where it's at. If you are looking for immersion, and it's really hard to capture how immersive, is that a word? Well, you know, how immersive, you know, that technology is, especially with the flying games and the other stuff that's out there. The DCS world looks absolutely amazing with that headset on. You go in there, you're looking around the cockpit. I tried to capture a video. I posted it, I want to say either on Tuesday or Wednesday, where I was doing a refueling mission with my AV-8B, which is the Harrier jet, and I had linked up behind a C-130. And what they do is they put out a drogue behind the aircraft, which you have a big probe that comes out from above the left intake of the aircraft, and that's where you fly it into the drogue, and that's how you refuel the Harrier. And that was I gotta tell you, that was hard because you have to get really close to that aircraft, and the speed at which the refueler is flying, and you're trying to slowly creep up there, and it's I don't know. The best analogy I can give you is if any of you guys drive a standard transmission in your cars, you know that you can only go so far in second gear before you have to go into third gear. And then if you get a guy that's in front of you that slows down suddenly, it's not a whole lot of fun going from 3 to 2 and what have you. And that's the way it was with this aircraft. It seemed like just when I was starting to get the sweet spot on the RPM, I had to back off, and I was going too far back. Then when I gave more power, I was going too far ahead. So you're playing this game back and forth on the throttles. So, but with the Oculus Rift on DCS World, it just looks amazing. So if any of you guys are into the flight sims and you haven't tried DCS World yet already, do try it out. You can try it out for free. They have the SU-25T, which you can fly, and they have the reconnaissance version of the P-51 that you can fly. So if you're curious if this game will play on your computer, you can certainly do that. And the more hardware you have, the better. I have a GTX 1070 for the virtual reality. That's kind of the baseline. I know some guys run them with a little bit less powerful cards. I'm overclocking my video card right now. I've overclocked it by 300 megahertz just to gain a few more frames per second. And some people are scared of overclocking. It's not that bad. There's a lot of really good tutorials on YouTube that tell you how to do it. The fans on the card are huge. What you can do is you can crank up the RPM on the cooling fans, and most of the time that will take care of the excess heat you're generating by overclocking. Let's see, the refueling, yeah, you can go, yeah, exactly. My throttles, I have the single throttle, so it's not a split throttle. The A10 Warthog has that kind of throttle, but it's a Harrier, so the Harrier only has a single turbofan. So the Rift is impressive. It's interesting because I've been looking for a lot of videos on how to fine-tune the Rift. What the Rift does is, and there's also the HTC Live, and the Live has higher resolution. And what happens is what's the best way I can describe it? It's like looking at your phone. If you get really close to your phone, real close up, you can see the individual dots, okay? And for some people, that drives them crazy. What the Rift does is it has a little bit of a blurring there. So as you get really, and I keep on catching myself trying to clean out my Rift. I take the headset off and I think it's fogging. It's not fogging. It's just that's the way it blurs out some of that screen door effect for the resolution that each eye has. And I think each eye has 1920 by 1080. And these things are just going to get better and better. And right now, the Oculus Rift is $349. And I want to say, and I can post a link here on the bottom as well, too, if you guys are interested in checking them out. But yeah, definitely, if you're into the flying games, definitely worth it. I know if you guys are into Steam, Steam has a lot of VR games as well, and they're outstanding as well, too. Yeah, Vive has a screen door effect. What's interesting is there's a lot of freebies you can get straight from the Oculus library or through their store. I haven't purchased any of the games or whatever. I'm just using it with DCS World, and DCS works very nicely with it. The one thing that we're running into, which has been a whole lot of fun, is that with DCS World, there's a lot of things that you can map on your hands off, hands, throttle, whatever. HOTAS, here we go. Hands on throttle and stick. I'm going to try to beat Caleb here before he goes spitting that out in the chat buffer here. But they have some programs, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but they have some programs where what you can do is you can record scripts. So you can say, computer, press F6, computer, press whatever. So that if there are various commands that you don't have mapped on the throttle and stick, for example, say you want to do the air traffic control stuff, there's a few keystrokes you have to press so that you can talk to the controller, or if you want to talk to the AWACS or what have you. So there's a lot of options out there for games like this. And I don't want to just get lost on DCS World here, but if any of you guys are armchair fighter pilots, we definitely need to talk. There is if you guys are interested in getting into DCS World, I do have a Where Nerdy Is Cool Discord channel, and that's where you can catch up with us and chat with us while we fly. Yes, that's the thing too. Yeah, I'm surprised that the armchair tanker pilot is very good, very good. Uh, that's another thing I noticed as well too. Yes, and it depends on what you're flying. I do wind up fogging up my Oculus as well too, because if I'm flying for a long time, you do sweat, whatever. And but the other cool thing about these Oculus Rifts and the headset, before I only had the 2D picture. Now they make what they call track IR. You wear your ball cap, you wear these little sensors up here. There's like a little camera that you sit on the monitor, and what happens is that when it detects you moving very slightly, it will pan. Say in the cockpit you wanted to move left or right or whatever. So what it does is it does those movements for you. Whereas with the Oculus being virtual reality, I mean, I can look all the way around, back and forth, up, down, everything you'd expect to see. And of course, the cockpits are very high detailed, and they're interactive cockpits. You can throw the switches and such. So it's a nice combination. What's funny is that sometimes when you're in these missions, you forget how good the virtual reality is. I had to get up and move something off my desk, and while I was flying, next thing I know, I'm looking over the nose of my Harrier. I can see the tail. I mean, it's crazy. It's hard to explain how immersive this is, but I can tell you that I have come home from work, gone to the gym, come back, told my friends, sure, I'll just play for an hour, and the next thing I know, it's 2 in the morning. I mean, it's amazing. The other thing is, if you're into the air combat, like I said, there's a lot of the missions we play, we're going up against a lot of enemy aircraft, and it is just amazing to be able to turn and look, and find out where that airplane is, and you have that situational awareness. So, again, this wasn't intended as an Oculus Rift chat tonight, but if you guys have that kind of interest, I definitely recommend checking it out. And like I said, let me know in the comment section below if you guys have DCS World and you're looking to fly and hang out with a bunch of other yahoos that are learning how to fly the game. Let me know. Like I said, so far I've paid for the Harrier and the F5. The F5 is a lot of fun to fly. The only problem is it burns a lot of gas. You can't air-to-air refuel it. And when you're going up against a bunch of bad guys, you're only carrying 2 missiles. So whereas the F-18 can carry 10 missiles, the F-15 can carry 8. So you're quickly outgunned. I have not tried the Rift on this laptop. Reason being, actually, there's an application I can run to find out if this is actually a VR certified laptop. This processor, the CPU is faster than the PC game machine. However, this has a Quadro P600, and it has 4 gig, and my game PC has a GTX 1070. I think that has 11 gig. So it would be interesting to see if this can do it or not. The F-18 next. I gotta tell you, I enjoy the air-to-ground aspect. I've been loving the Harrier. I struggle with the hover, but the Harrier is definitely one of my favorite jets in there. The Harrier can carry the, I can't think of the designation, but it's called the sidearm. And it's a version of the AIM-9 missile, but instead of having the IR seeker, it has a radar homing seeker. So it's kind of like a version of the HARM missile, which what happens is it locks onto enemy radar, and it only has a 22-pound warhead, but what it's doing is it's going after the transmitter. So it rides the beam and detonates over there, and it's fun to watch. Is it 8 gig? Okay. Yeah, F-18 is having a lot of maintenance issues too. The other one, and again, I'll mention one more thing about DCS. Right now, there are 2 aircraft that are pending release. The F-14, and what's cool about the Tomcat is that will, just like in real life, you can have 2 people in that aircraft. So you can have, the way they have this set up is you have a guy in the front, and if Kayla wants to ride in the back, he could be my Rio. Or vice versa, I can be his goose. So that has definitely got a lot of excitement in the community, having the F-14 Tomcat. And the other aircraft that is pending release is the MiG-19. Think a MiG-15 with twin engines. And not one that we hear a lot about historically, but it has been. I want to say it was a popular airplane with the Indian Air Force, and when Pakistan and India went at it a couple years back, those aircraft were involved. But who doesn't love Top Gun? Exactly, exactly. So that's our DCS section of the chat tonight. Like I said, it's funny. A couple of you guys messaged me and said, "Hey, what do you got? What are you going to be talking about tonight?" And it's like, I haven't done a tremendous amount of 3D printing this week, so I think I'm just going to talk about, I wanted to do this tonight, but like I said, looking at the clock, I didn't want to. I figured the live stream tonight would probably just be an hour long, not much more than that, and this would take at least 2 or 3 hours, to get up running and what have you. So. Oh, it's funny you mentioned I do have the A10C, but I don't use it a whole lot because my brain is just full, remembering all the stuff that I have going on with the Harrier. What have I got here? I turned off my phone, I think. I get all kinds of comments. So, end friend request. Maybe it's Geeetech again. But yeah, the A10 looks beautiful in VR as well. Yeah, my friend Larry is a big fan of the A10. And pardon me for the background noise, that is the furnace kicking on once again. It is cold. Just got my electric bill too, and I have one of those heat pumps. During the summer it's air conditioning, during the winter it's supposed to generate heat, and it's supposed to be energy efficient, and based on my power bill being $147 when it's usually $70, I'm going to guess that it's not. Believe it or not, we have not tried to aerial refuel the A10 yet. We're still struggling with the F-15. The only thing that makes the Harrier easier to refuel, and I said I was going to stop talking about DCS, but hey, it's Nerd Chat, we're going to talk about it. With the Harrier, you can at least see, you can see at your 7 o'clock position, you can see the probe, and you can see the drogue, and you can see it connecting. Hey, Dave. Yeah, the A10 is not a fast airplane by any means. Nerd Chat, yay! But, yeah, so the Harrier, I thought was going to be a lot harder, but with the virtual reality and being able to, kind of glance to your left real quick to see where that probe's at, or rather where the drogue is at, isn't so bad. The F-15, where it's behind you, I've been able to connect to it, but it hasn't been for much more than 10 seconds, and so I can't imagine what it's going to be like on some of the other airplanes. What's interesting in the game, you can have the KC-135 equipped with the drogue, but the Harrier will not refuel from it. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's something to do with how the fuel system works. I have no idea. I do know that, real quickly, when I started the mission that I was flying in the video, of course when you start you have full fuel tanks. So what I had done is I quickly turned on the fuel pumps to offload some fuel so that when I refueled I could actually take some gas on board. And I was flying with my friend, we got chatting, and the next thing I know is, oh man, I'm still running those pumps. And sure enough, I'd gone from 6,000 pounds of fuel to 900. So I really had to make this refueling mission work. So I was able to connect to the tanker. I took on 3,000 pounds of fuel, and more than enough to get me home. It'd be interesting. I know there's a bunch of. I was going to live stream one of the missions, but I just wasn't sure how many people would be interested in that, especially given where with the VR headset, they have an application. Actually, the other gentleman here that has the Oculus might be able to chime in here. Oculus has a program called Oculus Mirror, and what Oculus Mirror does is a command line command. And what you can do is you can have it running a mirror of what the player is seeing in the headset. So you run the command line Oculus Mirror, dash, right eye only, and you can set it to, then you can tell the to resize based on the resolution you want. So 1920 by 1080, for example, and it'll run in that window at that resolution. And then what you can do is, if you want to stream it or record it, you can tell OBS that go to Oculus mirror.exe and capture that window, and it will do so. But the problem is, because the VR headset, you're seeing all around you, and what it's going to do is it's just going to grab a small section of that. So it's a little tough for the person watching the video to get the aspect of, how immersive it really is. And the only other way I can think of doing it is if I had a 4K monitor, it would be a bigger resolution and I can capture more. But still, again, if you've never tried VR, wow. And I know someone's going to ask me about the adult entertainment. And wow, I can see why we lose some of these kids in the basement for weeks. Wow. So yeah, I'm just going to stick to the gaming because wow. Not going to go there. Going to keep it PG-13, but wow. So there we go. Never killed a hare in real life. Yeah, because you're a tanker driver. Yeah. That would be a good one. That's your homework assignment, Caleb. You reach out to your friends, please, and find out to me if the Harrier can indeed be refueled by a KC-135 sporting the Drogue. I wonder if it's just the angle or something. Because it with the F-18 and the other aircraft, it's coming off the nose, so there's a fair amount of distance. But with the Harrier, it's coming off the top of the intake to the engine. So I wonder if it's just a safety margin. Because, I mean, that boom will extend out 12, 14 feet, as I recall. So this is kind of... See, I never know what to expect during these live streams. That's why I love that these are focused on the audience. These are great. Oh, the other question someone had, am I going to get hold of a Geeetech printer? Yep, it's on the to-do list. Actually, tomorrow when I go see the tax people, we'll find out how good my refund's going to be. And I don't know how long that's going to take to show up. Usually it takes, 10 to 12 business days. So I got some bills I want to take care of. I got a washer and dryer I got to pay off. But yeah, if I can put some money aside for that FT6, that would be nice to have. I'm looking forward to building that because I've seen a couple of them on the Facebook group. And we had such a good time putting this one together, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what John's FT6 is all about. Well, there's your homework assignment, Caleb. You will be expected next Friday to present your report here to the group. Make sure you have your webcam ready, microphone, all that. We'll get you on. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Keith will take the pressure off you, Keith. Yeah, we should do that. We'll hook you up on either Facebook or Skype or whatever, and we'll throw you into the chat. I think that'd be interesting. I was waiting to see that. Keith, you crack me up. That's great. You guys are a good bunch. Let's see. I try to keep track of time here. Okay, so we're 1 hour into this, so I want to screen back into the hello. My name is Paul. If you've been watching the chat and wondering what the heck have I wandered into, this is my channel where nerdy is cool. 3D printing, building robots, big into the flight sim stuff. I mean, if it's nerdy, it's cool, it's here. So welcome aboard. If you have not already given me a thumbs up down here, go ahead and do so. Also, if you aren't a subscriber, follow the animation down below. Hit the button. If you want notifications, click the bell. And I'm hoping that sound effect wasn't too loud. There you go. Well, Caleb, I had to buy a $100 webcam to appease your frugalness. So there you go. They make the Snowball, they call it. It's like a $49 microphone. It's supposed to have really good quality. Best Buy has them. I thought about getting one, but you guys keep telling me that the Logitech camera is doing just fine, so... And I just wanted to give a quick beep over here. I know I sound like I'm self-promoting here, but over here is the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/where nerdy is cool. If you would like to help me and my channel out, we have the $5 a month or the $10 a month donation, they call it, towards me. And like I said, I am having a lot of fun with this channel. There's a lot of things I want to do, and like any other hobby, I have a limited budget, but like I said, many of you guys have kicked me a couple bucks here and there, and I certainly want to thank you, and I appreciate that, because that helps me out, and then we can afford to get more of these great things on screen so we can work on them and play with them. And you know what it's like to have a budget for your hobby. So there we go. Well, Caleb asked a good question. Caleb, whatever you feel you can get past the wife. Gaming headset would probably work just fine. So yeah, I didn't have a tremendous amount of stuff, planned out. Uh, I've been kind of dragging this week. For whatever reason, I've had like 3 days of insomnia. What happened is ever since I got the Oculus, I've been staying up until 12:30, 1 o'clock gaming, and then I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So multiple days of not a lot of sleep, and then I'm trying to get my sleep cycle fixed, and that's the hard part. Sleep hygiene, they call it, right? So I've been trying to force myself to go to bed at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock every night, and all I do is toss and turn for those 3 extra hours. I wind up watching a little bit of TV, I wind up reading, and I'm still still struggling. So I should be gaming, right? No. So looking through the buffer to make sure I haven't missed anyone's questions. She's asleep. Yeah, I don't have a gaming headset. When I chat with the guys, I use the webcam microphone, and well, of course, now that I have the Oculus, everything's all built in. So. No, I have not thawed out one stinking bit. Dun, da, da. Yep. Oh yeah, the VR has all that stuff. Yep. Oh, I got an error message here. Okay. I am going to do a quick pause real quick here. My coffee is cold. I'm going to nuke my beverage and be right back. So what I'm going to do is if you guys have to refill your beverages, let's come back in 5 minutes. Ta-da! Oh yeah, maybe a minute and a half was a little bit too much. There. And my phone kept on buzzing, so I had to address that real quick. All right, welcome back. Let me look at the buffer to see if I've missed anything. Let's see, I did unmute this, right? I did unmute it, good. Three feet of snow, wow. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy weather week, hasn't it? I mean, on one hand, it has been dangerously cold. Um, I'm kind of surprised because I don't ever recall. On one hand, you know, someone had mentioned that it seems like we're getting softer, and I don't know if that's a fair statement. I mean, it has been dangerously cold out, so I mean, obviously, you don't want people to get injured out in that weather. But on the other hand, I kind of chuckle a little bit because isn't the post office slogan through cold and snow and blah 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 whatever? So I can't recall where mail service has been canceled due to a cold snap. But then again, I haven't fortunately haven't been experiencing the negative 40-degree weather that the Midwest has had. So yeah, you guys in the warmer climates just love to rub that in our face. That's okay. That's okay. Come summertime and you guys are enjoying your 110-degree weather and your $400 power bills to run your air conditioners, and we're up here in Maine being fat, dumb, and happy and nice and comfy at 67 degrees. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. But I think it was Tim that had posted that the poor guy's trying to get caught up in shipping there for TH3D, and he was saying that the post office was going to be closed for a day or two due to the extreme weather. Oh, if it was rainy. There you go. All right, that makes it all better. All right, so what are we going to talk about next? We got a little bit of time left over here. So we covered what's going to be going on tomorrow. I think the general gist from you guys was if I throw up a live stream tomorrow afternoon working on the Titan Aero hot end here for the i3 Mega, you guys would be interested in that? Was that the gist? I know Joseph has said that watching me struggle would be the highlight of his day. So thank you, JP. Appreciate that. So yeah, I got all the parts, and ironically, these parts were printed by the Geeetech A10 printer with the matte forged filament. And I hate to give this printer credit. It pains me to do so, but if you see, and I got that angle down a little too low here, but it did a pretty decent job with the print. So, there's always that one printer that is a struggle, and this has definitely been the one. So we'll see how all the bearings fit on that tomorrow. Yeah, Keith, let me know, like I said, because you're on the opposite coast as me. So what I'll do is I'll shoot you a message on Facebook and say, hey, I'm going to kick this off here at such and such a time. Are you going to be around? And it's a lot of fun for me to do these things on the live stream because sometimes I run into stuff where I'm just like, what the hell? And there's always someone in the channel that knows better than I do. So even better. And then the other thing is I know we're going to have to mess around with the firmware on this because as a matter of fact, I want to say I have it on screen over here because this one, we're going to have to make some changes here for the configuration, and especially for the offset. So I think that should just be a big old cut and paste, but if not, I'll at least have some of you guys around to for moral support. And I believe this sensor, I could be wrong, but I believe with this particular sensor, when we're doing the Z offset, I want to say that it has to be 1 millimeter above the bed. I know with the EZ ABL, the bigger one, it was 2 millimeters, but I think these smaller ones, they want to be closer, as I recall. I may have to read through and double check that. The other cool thing, oh, you know what? I meant to, where is it? All right, so I have something here for the R2-D2 fans out there, and I have it apart because I've been working on it. And let me show you. I'm a big fan of Fiverr, and I don't know a lot about Arduino programming, so I've been working with a gentleman who is really good with it, and we are together working on getting this so that I can make my lifters work with this Periscope. And here it is. Let me go to the other camera here. And as you can see, I have made a mess of all the electronics and everything that goes in here. But trying to remember where everything goes. It's been a while since I've worked on all this stuff. But yeah, good times. Let's see, red lights. Okay, here we go. Because this thing has a gasket and has the oh yeah. So this is the electronic part of the lighting system, and getting all these wires stuffed in here, and with the microcontroller, and yeah. People ask me, "Oh, R2 building, it must be so much fun," and yeah, well, it's a struggle sometimes too. But anyway, so I've been working on this. I 3D printed a few pieces here to mount in the bottom assembly. I've got some small bearings and some other stuff so that this can rotate around. So and then I've made a custom base, and then I have all the wiring that goes to the Arduino, and this is pre-programmed with a couple things it can do. So it's a big old mess. So if you guys have been wondering what's going on with R2, one of the goals I am hoping, is that I've been invited to do a stage appearance with R2-D2 coming up in March. And I haven't promised it, but I said, well, it would be kind of cool if I could make his Periscope or his Lifeform scanner, pop open while on stage. And they were like, yeah, that'd be great. So the one thing I need is I need to find I need to 3D print one of the dome panels. And maybe Caleb, one of the guys, can line me up with that so that I can practice with this one. So anyway, yeah, so the R2-D2 project, I wasn't expecting to be doing any performances during the winter, but they asked nicely, and that'll be a good time. They're doing essentially, they're calling it a, oh, how did they phrase it? It's a tour of the solar system or whatever. So what they're doing is they're playing about five or six songs, and The Right Stuff. That's a good movie. It's a long movie, but it's a good one. Let me just look through here. Yeah, you're right. The red does go down. Yep, sorry. Just catching up with the buffer real quick. Mr. Badley's files. I forgot about him. Yes, yes. I should look through. I've downloaded a lot of those too. Good catch. So anyway, the concert that's coming up is they're going to have themes from Mars, the Bringer of War. So it's a symphonic concert. And they're going to have the theme from Star Trek, and then the very last song they're going to do is the theme from Star Wars. And they have asked if R2-D2 could be on stage for that. I've done appearances for these guys for several years, and they are just the best to work with. I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks. What are you doing, Theodore? So I'm looking forward to it. I asked them, I said, you know, geez, it's not a Star Wars concert, so to speak. So I had inquired, I said, geez, are you going to have a lot of stormtroopers or other characters there? They said, no, just R2. Okay. So I haven't said much about it because I don't know if R2-D2 is going to be the surprise, you know, showing up on stage or not. But so here we go. I'm telling you on my stream here. It's out now. So yeah, so the issue I'm having on my R2 right now is everything's working, but after 10 years of use, the aluminum back panel, those 2 layers of aluminum have started to come apart, and I have a second set of skins that I could place on there, but I JB welded the inner stuff all together, so I'm not sure the right way to do this. If I put on the other set of skins, the back panel is not removable. I would need to come up with some way to have the entire back skin come off. And I know there are ways to do it, but I'm on a timetable. I got a month and a half, and no, less than a month. Geez, I got what, 31 days. E6, yeah. See, everything's JB welded on those skins, and the JB weld has done a very, very good job. Just never use JB quick. It just won't stay. I can tell you from all the events I've done on the hospital visiting patients that whenever R2-D2 would bump over, go over a bump or something, I'd hear a jingle jangle, and it was one of the JB quick pieces coming off of the droid. So it's interesting because for guys that are out there building their R2-D2s right now, you know, I hope the advice I give you, you remember, because as your droids start to gain some age and you do some events and things start happening, you'll start to go, well, wait a minute, you know, Paul or someone else mentioned his droid had that problem too. So it's interesting because with these labors of love, whether you're building a BB-8 or R2-D2 or some other big project, you are the warranty. And an R2-D2 is, once you have it all put together, it can be a real challenge to get at various parts of the robot. Once the skins are on, you can't get to the inside unless you're going into the top. And if you have the top of that droid buttoned up, well, good luck. So I'm I'm at a point now where part of me says don't mess with it, leave it alone. The other part of me is like, no. I've been doing this for 10 years. I have a lot of new ideas. Here's what I want to do. And I'm still trying to find a small projector that I could fit behind the holographic projector. I have one, but the problem is that it has a push button, and I'm tempted to take that thing apart and wire up that switch so that I can access that switch from outside the dome. And the other problem with that projector, it's a really nice projector. It's an Optima PK301, and it has 85 lumens, and it's capable of throwing the image of Princess Leia out there on the wall pretty well. The problem is that the focus for the projector is at the very end of the projector, which if it's inside R2-D2 and flush with that aluminum part, there's no way in hell you can get at it. So I keep hoping someone's going to come out with a Pico projector that has autofocus, you know, whether it's bouncing an infrared beam or a laser or something to obtain the focal length. I don't know. So I have the same bug a lot of other R2 builders have. I have a lot of great ideas on how I could try to make this work, but it's a lot of money to throw at things that are kind of hypothetical. And I got a whole wall of stuff over here. Oh, actually, here's the other one. All right. So here, I think I showed this previously, is the life form scanner. And let me go to the other camera here. And as you can see, what I got going on here is I got the Arduino Uno here on the bottom. I have the motor shield here, and then I have attached to the center, I have a Bluetooth chip. And then I have another board here, which would go directly on top. Let me get you lined up. Dun, da, 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 and there you are. But the wires are in the way, so that's the problem. And that's why I bought this one. Is this would go on top, and this would give me all those connections I need. Those pins right there on the top. Those are for all the servos I would need. So it's fun to have the ability to do all this, but the problem is the programming for it. I can do the programming for the motors, I can do the programmers for the servos, and everything else, but when it comes to the Bluetooth aspect, man, I just haven't got the first clue. So that's where Fiverr comes in really handy. So what's going on with this? This goes up, the little periscope is going to go left to right. We got the little light here and tucked away. This is kind of a heavy cord for what we're looking to do, but we're trying to stay authentic to the movie. I would probably have to secure this somehow, maybe wire tie it, I don't know. One of the hardest parts here was getting these diodes wired in just right. And this is going to require more refining because we don't know. If I go place this inside R2-D2's head right now, I don't know if, let me back up this view here a little bit so you can get the angle here. So if I put this inside R2's head right now, I don't know if this is going to sit, if it'll fit. You know, this may have to go a little bit lower. So these lifters are quite complicated, quite difficult, and I've been working on this thing for about 4 years now. I'll work on it for a couple evenings and then go, you know, I don't have the patience for this. I'll put it back in the box and come back to it a few months later. Same thing with this guy here, which is this is the back of the holographic projector, for example. This is where the light is. And what's happened is I have two servos that would move R2's projector back and forth. And as you can see over the years, it has thoroughly tangled the wires all around. But I wrote a software program that what would happen was this servo knows how far it can move left and right. This servo knows how far it can move up and down. So what I do is in the software I wrote, I gave it the values. You can move from here to here, you can move from here to here. Pick two numbers between those numbers, between that range. So what would happen, this thing would just move randomly up, down, you know, whatever. And what that would do is, to the kid that's staring at R2-D2, the holographic projector would be moving up, down, side, side. And I had it set to do it every 6 seconds. So it gave the kids, it gave the adults the impression that this R2-D2 was alive and doing something. But holy crap, what happened is that a lot of times with these wonderful hobbies is that the parents and the children are not very well behaved. So they would grab the holo projector and attempt to move it. And what they would do is when they would try moving that projector, of course, I have aluminum pieces here, and I've got a little bit of slack here so that they can move it a little bit. But what happens is the parents will grab the adapter or grab the piece and it strips the motor. And these servos are, let's see, these guys are my ball bearing ones, titanium. So these guys are about $79 a pop. So when a kid grabs it and you hear a grinding pop, I'm out $100. So when people ask me, you know, do I want to bring my R2-D2 to this public event or that public event or this or that, and I say no and they get upset, I have to explain to them. I said, look, I love doing the things I do with my R2-D2. It was built for visiting sick kids in the hospital. The kids are in the bed, so they're not, you know, going to mangle my poor robot. But when I'm out in the public, I get my ass kicked, and no one seems to care. I'm the bad guy for complaining about it. All right, the cats are running around like crazy upstairs. If you don't know if the speaker picked that up. That was the fat guy jumping down. This is what I live with. All right, here comes cat number one, acting all innocent. Mama cat. Cats. All right, anyway. So that's the stuff that's going on the R2-D2 front. What's cool about Fiverr is I messaged 3 guys, and they had high ratings, and I said, hey, look, I didn't mention R2-D2. I just said, hey, I've got a project that involves a motor controller, servos, and Bluetooth. I bought all these pieces from Adafruit. They're very well documented, but it's gibberish to me. Is this something you can help me with? And 2 of the 3 wrote right back and said, oh yeah, I'm very familiar with Adafruit stuff, and I bet we could do something. Okay. So they asked for what I'm working on, and I said, I'll make a video. So this weekend I'm going to make them a video and show them what I'm working on here. And the price will probably go up, but that's okay. If they're willing to work with me, I'm more than happy to throw them the 10, 20, 50 bucks they're asking for to help me code this. And of course, it's an Arduino sketch, so it's not that they can hide the code. I can learn from what they're doing. And I'll have to live with the speeders. No, I have not seen Bob over at ILTMS. Nope. The other thing, I've been going through boxes of stuff. Let me move this actually. If anyone is looking for 12-volt linear actuators, let me know. I have a bunch. I bought a whole bunch of these when I was looking for ways to actuate the actually the CPU arm that R2 has in the body that extends in and out. Actually, I sold that off. I got that up and working. I had it for several years, and as a result of so many times where people would pull the door open and pull on the stuff, I just I know I sound bitter, but what I've been doing now with my R2D2 is all the doors stay closed. So I've been selling off all those pieces, and the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to do 232, and I do have the equipment inside R2. R2 does have actuators and a pivot joint, but it's just not worth it. Where's the battery I had? Can't remember which one of these two are good. But the goal was to try to have one of these be used for the CPU arm. And that wire is way too short. This is the one I was working with. What's interesting about this one is this piece slides up and down. Doo-doo-doo. Nifty, huh? So, and what's neat is this plastic piece down here is threaded with a bunch of holes. I think they're 1024. So if I wanted to, my thought was with this is this would sit inside behind the door, and the CPU arm or one of those rotators would go up and down with this. Problem is this is pretty heavy. This is probably 7 pounds, and you're thinking 7 pounds, that's not that big a deal. When you have an R2D2 that weighs 211 pounds, you notice every pound of weight. Now, and so I got to figure out a home for these guys. Which leads me to this question. Who out there is an electrical engineer? Because I have an Intel NUC, and it uses 19 volts. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how long that laptop, because the CPU I think uses 37 watts. So you got a 19 volt, 37 watt processor, and what I've been trying to do is figure out what size battery would I need to feed this thing to power it for 2 to 3 hours. And go. Because R2 has had a laptop inside him forever. But lately, we have the Intel NUC. So my thought was, and I mean, it's an Intel. I mean, and it's small, it's tiny, and I'm just looking at the power requirements. So the power supply requirements is, 19 volt, 3.42 amps. So, and we don't have to worry too much about the amperage, we just have to worry about the voltage. But obviously, so I'm trying to find what size, if I want this thing, if I want to put this inside R2D2 and replace the laptop, because the laptop's a pain in the rear end, if I put a 12 volt, whatever size battery on it, how long would it run? Anybody got a clue? Because I don't. Now, what I find amazing is that, well, that's That's a very, very, very good question. Exactly. Yeah, if I had a watt meter. Yeah, exactly. Now, there was, geez, I thought I had a thing on this laptop here. Let's see, Intel NUC i3. And this thing should tell me what model it is. It is a, okay, Intel NUC DC321 71 Yankee Echo. So I've looked this up in the past, and power draw, power consumption rather, here we go. So here's what I found here. Normal, standby. So it looks like it goes up to 13. So there we go, max 20.9 watts. Well, there's not too much hardware on this thing. That's the thing, and that's why I went with the i3. And this is several years old. They don't even make updates for this thing. I was going to use this on one of the 3D printers, as a matter of fact. I was going to leave it connected to a monitor and keyboard, but the i3 is just way, way, way too slow to run Cura on. So, actually, let me bookmark. Yeah, sure, done. So this is one of the many projects I'm working on with R2D2, and like I said, I would be really curious, because I know I can convert 12 volt to 19 volt. I have a converter for that. The big question though is, if I want this thing to run, say for example at 20 watts, and let's say I want to run for at least 3 hours. I'll tell you what, let's make even numbers. So if I want to run for 4 hours, what size battery would I need? Now this thing, like I said, the NUC didn't come with any kind of battery. As far as what batteries, I don't know. Should I be looking at a 12 volt 18 amp? That's the question I'm throwing to the audience. Because laptops have these lithium ion batteries that have, I mean, here's my thinking. I would love to obtain some new laptop batteries, and if there was some way to build a power array or something, you know, with 1 or 2 laptop batteries that could provide the voltage and power that this thing needs, and I could have this inside of R2D2, because, and here's the thing, I can fit this thing in R2D2 just fine, and I actually have a mini 5-inch HDMI display that would plug into this and work, so I can have inside of R2D2 an onboard computer. And I have, you know, the wireless keyboard and wireless mouse. So it would be nice to have everything inside of R2 versus trying to get that laptop out and what have you. So, but like I said, the big thing has been the power. And I've been trying really hard not to play with lithium poly batteries and stuff like that. So, so yeah, so that's one of the things I've been trying to process in my mind. You know, I wanted to ask someone, or actually, since we're all nerds over here, I wanted to run it past you guys. So, yeah. And the adapter, like I said, you know, the adapter, what does the power adapter say? It's in very, very tiny print. Okay, so this, you know what, we're getting to that age where we have to use our phone. Okay. So the power supply, here's what's interesting, okay? So this is what throws me off, okay? So it's telling me the amount of power it's going to use is, 20 watts. But the power supply, okay, this power supply is rated for 19 volts and 3.42 amps. So see, and that's the thing, I don't know a lot about the volt. I mean, I know that I can go from 12 volt to 19. I don't know about 24 volt down, so. Well, the power supply? Well, I mean, let's see. And let's go with, so this is one of the power supplies that comes up. Output 19.5, 3.42, 65 watt. Does that help? I do have a 24 volt to 12 volt converter, but the thing's huge. So anyway, yeah, this mouse is all full of junk. See, this has been good. I've been able to throw you guys all my my nerdy projects here, and I'm trying to figure out how to make these things all work right. Because honestly, when it comes to DC electricity, I have no idea. If I can be told what parts and pieces to wire up and how to wire it, outstanding. But yeah. No cord following him. No, R2 needs to have sufficient battery power to power himself and the computer. Now, I know a lot of people use Raspberry Pis, or they just stick with Arduinos for all their effects. I just really like the idea of having the PC on board. Yeah, 65 watts is a bit different. 4 hours would mean, yeah. Yum. Good coffee. So that's the thing about batteries. I don't know. I don't know how to compute what battery would do watt hours. I mean, I know amps, but I don't know how the watts work. No. I've had a netbook, of course, which is a smaller version of a laptop, inside R2 for years, but it's always been a struggle to get everything to fit inside of there. And of course, with all the wires I have coming off all the displays, the laptop would bump and knock stuff in, and it was always, crashing into either one of the gadgets or gizmos that were folded up behind the door. So I'm just trying to get away from the laptop. And quite frankly, I'm amazed that the Asus netbook that I have, that battery lasted almost the full 9 years. I bought a replacement battery, brand new, and it only lasted for an hour and a half. So I don't know what's going on with that laptop. But let's be honest, how many laptops last more than 3 or 4 years these days before you replace it with something else? So the fact that this thing with an Atom processor, is still up and running after 9 years, kudos to Asus. I've gone through 2 CMOS batteries, and so far it's worked really well. Okay, yeah. Well, your math makes sense. And I think I just saw a pop-up from Keith over here. Let's take a look. Huh. I've seen that video. So anyway, that's I'm trying to do these things to R2 in time for this show, and between the lifters and replacing the onboard computer, oh, that would be so cool. What's amazing is when I came down here to do this video, the cats were all sleeping upstairs. The minute I started doing the video, they were up and down, racing around the stairs, chasing each other. Pets. R2 is running on, well, back in the day, it was a Jag version 5 frame, which is very, well, I mean, there's not much difference in how these frames look. It's since been superseded by the COM 8 frames, so it's a very rugged aluminum frame. And it's using the NPC 2212 motors with the Jag foot drives, where the belt goes around both tires, and so technically R2 has two-wheel drive kind of thing. So anyway, those were the many things I have wondering, you know, and trying to figure out how to do some of these tweaks and improvements to my little buddy. Oh yeah, that droid's a tank. Yeah, I've seen Kevin's new frame. That is nice. Yeah, it's interesting the way the skins pop off the front of it. That's what's amazing to me. I've been in the R2 Builders Club since 2003. God, over 15 years. And it's been amazing, the development and the improvements to building an R2. You know, if you're getting in the last couple of years to build an R2, it's way easier than it used to be. When I got in, I mean, if you wanted an aluminum part, you know, people would collect the money, they'd pay the machinist. It would take several months for them to make that part, and then by the time they shipped it to you, you know, it could take up to a year from when you spent the money to when you received the aluminum part. And the ironic thing was, the smaller the part, the more time it took for the machinist to do this stuff. And yeah, it's quite something now. Now that you have a lot bigger group of people doing this now. And one of the things I'd very much like to do is, as much as I love my aluminum parts on R2, there's a lot of things that I could replace with 3D printed parts, and the weight savings would just be phenomenal. I mean, the holo projectors, you know, they're 1.5 pounds each. You know, and if I replace it with a 3-ounce 3D printed one, you know, the weight savings, you know, add up very quickly, just in all those little detail segments. Well, I'm skeptical about the whole 3D printed droid thing. I can tell you that I've watched my R2 bounce around and take some pretty heavy hits, and I've seen a couple of wooden ones take some hits and crack and break. So I'm very skeptical of the styrene and wood ones. So yeah, well, you know, there's the FT6. That'd be a big printer. True, yeah. Well, PETG is tough, and ABS is still as problematic as it is to print. That seems to be the material. But there's other stuff coming out. So, well, guys, that's all I really had for tonight. But I hope if you guys have any suggestions on a lot of the questions I put out on the floor there, especially about the laptop, on the Intel NUC on the power supply and battery stuff, I would love to hear your feedback on that, because again, I'm not an electronics guy. And I'm reaching out for help because I don't know, and I would very much like to have this work inside the droid. I have a lot of the accessories to make it happen, but like any other person that's customizing a droid, I try to do the due diligence and ask all those questions. So there, we will at some point tomorrow. You'll get an email or a blip from YouTube, and I'll put something on my social media. when I get all my chores done tomorrow and gym and all that other good stuff, we'll start working on the i3 Mega upgrade. We're going to work on getting the stock hot end off that thing. I'll put together the Titan Aero, and I'll look to you guys as my moral support as we go through this together, and hopefully by the end of that session, we'll have the i3 Mega printing with a Titan Aero, so that should be a good time. So there, I thank you guys for tuning in and watching. As always, if you are not already a subscriber, there's the animation. Go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want to be notified when new stuff shows up. So thanks everyone for watching me tonight. Like I said, it was kind of fun. I mean, geez, this is kind of, this is a neat little tradition we have. I thank you guys for tuning in. And for those of you that have helped chip in to support me, I appreciate that very, very much. So with that, I'm going to say good night. Remember, this is where nerdy is cool. And as always, stay nerdy. Have a good night, guys.